Welcome to my basement, everybody. I've got a terrific guest and somebody that you've been wanting to hear from because Assassin's Creed Valhalla is heading towards us almost in the same kind of rage-fueled intensity that we see in the raids in this killer new game that I got a chance to play a little bit. Benoit Richer is with us right now, and he is one of the game directors on the title. Benoit, thank you for joining us here in the basement. And
it's a real pleasure.
How are you doing right now? You've let people play with your baby a little bit, right? You've let the cat out of the bag. People are actually playing this game that people are super hyped about. It's one of the big beauties of kind of the next gen cycle of systems, and it looks incredible.
For the people that played it, like, they're super excited. They're like ecstatic about it. It's like, wow, okay, I thought it was this, but now by playing it, I see that this like everything that we've had it, like how it changed, and we adapted the formula. People are super excited.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about the philosophy on the scope of the game, because clearly this is a game that has learned a lot from the many iterations of Assassin's Creed over the years and the evolution of the franchise. But what is, the unique quality of Valhalla that you guys never have attempted before with this franchise?
Well, it's hard to find like actually one thing, because it's all of these new features and systems that we've added together, like the story, the theme, how the treatment of the story as well. All of these elements come together to create a cohesive experience, and this is what is really standing out, because we cannot just take one element and say like, oh, we added this feature or this thing, but it's actually the experience that we have, how you feel, like what it feels to be a Viking at that time period, this pivotal moment. So yeah, definitely, like the experience that we have, like you start in Norway, like going back after that, like you go to England, feel the difference between the harsh Norway and after that the lush and vibrant England. So it's all of these moments that it's really it's creating a distinctive Viking experience.
One of the things that I noticed in my playthrough is how alive England feels. Like it feels like there's stuff happening, whether they're animals running through the forest, or boats on the water, or townspeople milling about, people wanting your attention. There was a real sense of vibrancy, which I think is something that you guys have just been adding brushstrokes to Assassin's Creed over the years. But I don't know, there's something. I guess the other thing is that this is a community type of experience as well, right? Like you really aren't alone in this Assassin's Creed game. You have a whole bunch of people around you, and you're constantly working with them.
Because in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, we wanted to portray also different aspects of the Viking life, like what it was to be a Norse at that time period, adding activities, like stuff you could do, how the combat is played out. Letting more player agency also, that how I could feel freedom, like to craft my own path, to craft my own sagas. Like the Alliance map, for example, that we have, the new settlement, how you build your home, like you go and you collect alliances, bring back new people, you create new buildings, giving you new abilities, and after that, all of that to make you feel how it was to be a Viking then at that time period.
Yeah, is that how you guys start out on crafting a direction for Assassin's Creed? Do you think time period and the types of battles and it'd be fun to explore that, and then you interweave all of the Assassin's Creed threading and the plots and the connections to the other titles and the franchise itself? Or how do you guys kind of know what direction you're gonna send your giant army of people towards?
But this is always the kind of an evaluative process when we start in conception. We start, and by checking, we for sure the pivotal story moment, the historical moment is something that is really kind of a big driving factor as well. The character, how could we put our character into something that players going to feel that they want to be part of it? Something that also like a theme that's going to excite people. So now you take that theme and you say like, what it would be to be a Viking in that time period. What would I do? What I would like to do? What they were actually doing, because we want also players to learn who the Norse was, like what was their difficulty, their myth, the believing their gods, how it was affecting their daily lives, their daily activities. And we crafted after that like systems, features to try to represent that so the player could actually experiment it.
That's awesome. I know you guys work with historians, and there's always a huge effort to kind of make it feel authentic. Does it feel like you go to school a little bit when you work on an Assassin's Creed game? It's like, I didn't know I wanted to know all of this stuff about Norse mythology, but now I am an expert on Norse mythology. Is it kind of like that?
Yeah, exactly. Like learning like every day through the course of the years. We work with Dr. Jackson Crawford, a consultant in Nordic studies. He's actually a professor of Old Norse language and culture at the University of Colorado. So the Nordic cultural life, the language, the mythology, their life, the Norse myth, the sagas, how like these Norse were actually about like gaining pride and avoiding shame, and how it reflecting into their like how they organize themselves. I have learned a lot, and like it was also really important to get immersed into this, and this is really helping. Watching what has been done, reading also like books about it, listening to the music. I've been listening to I'd say like Viking or Norse music for like many years.
That's great.
Yeah, so so it's really important that we embed ourselves in what it was, because it's going to help us to actually create a craft and experience that we want players to live and to learn these things that are super exciting.
I noticed the music. It's absolutely gorgeous in this game. And I you know, obviously you're stacking good work on top of good work, you know, with a franchise that's as successful and as popular as Assassin's Creed is. But there is this sense of course, it makes sense to make a Norse Assassin's Creed game, you know, traipsing through England and stuff. What's been the most surprising thing for you to uncover about Norse mythology and its integration into England, and how important, you know, Viking culture was to the England that we know now?
Well, yeah, there was many things. It's hard to settle, let's say, on one thing. How the mythology, how their gods were affecting their daily lives. How there was, this is what gave them strength, courage. Like also like, it was interesting to see like the conflict between their beliefs and their gods versus Christianity, and what it was at that time. What it was like when they tried to settle into in England, and try to learn also these things where England was divided into kingdoms and they were fighting each other. And to play that pivotal story moment, to be in it, this is like, it makes it like super, super interesting.
How much connection are we going to see to, you know, previous moments from Assassin's Creed history? Is there, you know, obviously there's like an overarching story, but are there also connections to previous Assassin's Creed heroes, or you know, are we going to see some similarities to stuff we saw in Odyssey or Origins, like not just in gameplay, but are we going to actually see like story beats, or you know, people going to reading through a book in a church or something, and there's going to be some of the tales of previous Assassin's Creed heroes?
For sure, there's this is a long story, a long-term conflict that's going to continue. We're going to continue exploring the story of Lila during the present day. So there's the present day moment. We're continuing that story. Also, what we did is to I don't know if you've actually played it in the demo, but we have the Animus Anomalies, which are message left inside the simulation for Lila to find. And you're going to recover fragment of evidence of the first Civ. So we mix Lila inside the simulation as well. So we create this new moment to continue this very interesting storyline.
Obviously, this game was really revealed with the Xbox Series X reveal, and it's a title that everybody that's going to be jumping on board for PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X has got their eyes on right now. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of the enhancements or some of the things that will make this feel like a fresh Assassin's Creed because of the hardware that these new systems provides?
Well, actually, this is something that's greatly gonna help the experience and the flow and the pacing. Just sometimes the loading time, like faster loading time, this is going to help, like being immersed like really quickly. Sometimes you don't have to wait when you're launching the game, that sort of stuff, so you could jump like right into it. The stuff that we're having is sometimes subtlety, but it makes a whole difference, like the haptic feedback, let's say in the controller, that are much more subtle, and we could create something really unique and new there that before we were not able to do. But this is pretty much what I can mention like right now.
Okay. Can you talk to us a little bit? Is it going to run at 60 frames per second, or or are there going to be increases in the visual fidelity that you can hint at?
For sure, like the visual are going to be definitely enhanced. In terms of the frame rate, for sure, at the minimum is going to be 30 frames per second, but we need to make something that's going to make the most out of the visual treatment, like the immersion that you have, because the world is a character in itself, and it's super rich. The number of characters that we have, same thing when we have like the new scenarios that you have, like the raids or the assaults, where as you're raiding, like your teammates are starting to put fire, and like the whole atmosphere actually changed. You're walking to really deep fog, start to see less and less, but it's all creating and supporting all these nice visual effects.
Let's talk about raids for a minute right now. This is a really unique way to play an Assassin. It feels like a different game when you're in a raid. It feels like you're in Dynasty Warriors or something. Like it just gets so chaotic. There's so much stuff going on, and you can call that up. That's something that you have a choice, because you don't have to go on raids. You can make that a gameplay decision. You can go off alone if you want to kind of play more traditional, or you can get all your buddies in on this. How important were raids, I guess, to telling your story, but also to showing the horsepower of this game?
Yeah, because like I was saying like earlier, we wanted to give this tool, like how the Viking were actually super efficient because of the long ship design, how we were able to carry a large raid troop with you to a place where nobody was expecting it, in shallow and narrow rivers, and try to do some hit and runs, and you're able to raid these locations, and after that get out with the loot. But after that, this is up to player's choice. For sure, there's places where you need your crew. You will need your crew. Sometimes there's like super heavy barred doors or like big stuff that you need to push in order to try to retrieve the loot. And that loot is being there for also to increase your settlement, to bring it back, to upgrade it, to have construction materials, these resources that you need. But I could try to, from the shore, lance the raid order, because this is a new tool that we're giving for the player. Anything that's nearby the water, you could assault it with your raid crew. So you could do that and just like go like axe out and try to defeat everybody, or you could actually try to sneak in, take out a couple of key targets, and then from within that place, either it's a monastery, military camp, bandit camp, or a different type of location that we have, you could actually summon your crew. You have the horn, and then your crew is able to go and come and finish the job. There's the other context, which is the assault. Also, large-scale battle with objectives. Like, depending on the alliance that you've built with all the different, with the territory that you gain alliances, you're going to meet new people. People are going to join inside these assault using siege weaponry. So they have defense also ingredients, I would say, like they try to pour like burning oil on you, have like huge spring guards, which is super damaging, like the flock of arrows. Even you try to pull up ladders up the wall, they try to push it back. But these are really like big climactic moments that we wanted to make sure that the player could actually play them, like experience it, and it's not just a cinematic.
You know, there was a really nice beat in the demo that I got some hands-on time with, where there's a wedding that gets celebrated, and everybody kind of just is in the reverie. It slows down. You know, people aren't killing or stabbing each other for a minute, and there's a kind of a sense of humor about everything. And I thought that was a really nice piece for you guys to give us hands-on with, because usually with a lot of the hands-on that we get, it's really about action. It's about to show off, you know, the sort of the flashier bits. But I thought that there was a really nice moment in, you know, conveying the story and getting a sense of the characters. And I guess that must have been very important for you guys.
Yes, definitely. Because in the demo, it's just a small slice of the game. It's just a part of an arc. but there's so many arcs with different themes, different type of characters, different type of emotion, different type of pacing, because in an experience, it's really important that we have variation and progression inside the pacing that you have, like what you're going to experiment at each given time. Because it cannot be like action all the time, because something that was really important for us is we wanted to portray a different aspect of the Viking life. Like sometimes the other type of activities that you could do, sometimes going hunting, going fishing. They play dice, which is Orlog, or it's one of the mini games that we have. This is super exciting.
I got completely shit-faced in the game. I thought that was a pretty interesting mini game.
Yeah, the drinking mini game, because it was important for them to have like pride to say like, hey, I'm a solid drinker and I could outdrink you. The famous rap battles, like the flitting. This is something else that I've learned also that I didn't knew about at all. How you can actually something we call the cairnstone. Well, when you stack some stone up together too, it's a peaceful moment. It's a moment of reflection with a majestic view. And then again, it's a small puzzle where you need to try to find a way to reach a certain level. So all of these activities is going to create not only variation in terms of pacing, but we're letting freedom for the player to try to choose what he wants to do. And at the same time, he's learning about these people. He's learning of what it was at that time to be like.
That's awesome. The other major thing that has been a part and threaded into Assassin's Creed games forever is the verticality and also the subterranean sort of exploration, and the things that just continue to reveal themselves to you. And I thought that was a wonderful hands-on element too. Is like, wow, look at these surprises around these corners. But I have to imagine that it must feel a little bit like you're rolling a boulder up a mountain when you get tasked with making a new one of these, because there's so much expectation and they've been so successful. And every time you make one, you have to be better than the last one. And how do you grapple with that? You as a team member, how do you sort of take that in and say, yep, we're going to do this, and knowing the commitment it's going to take and the hours and the creativity? How do you tackle that? Brick
by brick. Definitely. Sometimes by looking at the mountain, it's like, oh, wow, okay, that's going to be huge. But we have a team of over 800 passionate and dedicated people that are all committed. They all want to create a good game. They all add in their expertise from within the Montreal team, from all the different studios. Everyone has their own expertise. And to see that all come together, again, brick by brick, everyone have their part, and see this majestic piece coming all together from all the synergy of all these people working together, and and I think this is something we really succeeded at, is how everything works together. That's going to make it like really from a big difference. Right now, for sure, I would say like I'm playing right now, but the feeling that you have like all of these different systems, all of these different activities, the storyline that you have, the choice, the agency that you have within this, it's really like it's a wonderful experience. But then again, yes, it's challenging, but everyone is up to the challenge.
You deal with external developers. That's part of your job description. You're communicating with people probably all over the world that are contributing to this game. So Zoom conversations and Microsoft Teams conversations, that's par for the course for you. But of course, a pandemic has hit in the middle of making this game. How has the team adapted? And are you guiding everybody through and making sure everybody's got webcams? Yeah,
definitely. Ubisoft did an amazing job on trying to fill everyone with what they needed from home. We went to collect our stuff at work with, for sure, like super heavy protocols, getting some chairs, some webcam, etc. So they were always like super supportive. But now, for sure, my job was always to communicate. Like it was like from Singapore, Sofia in Bulgaria, like Barcelona. There's Spirisoft, an external partner in Russia, and like other studios as well.
Wow.
For sure, for me, it continues. But at the beginning, when it hit, everyone was like, "Oh, bad timing." Okay, but it was surprisingly, we kept the momentum. It's just the adaptation at the beginning, because there are people with family that you need to rearrange. Oh, there's no more school. What do we do? For sure, there was kind of a small adaptation, but the momentum that we were able to keep. And it was showing by the result in game. Like keep playing the game, keep playing different builds. We were keep seeing it improve and improve and improve. and we're like, wow, okay, this is working. Wow, okay, it continues, and we're like, okay, good, okay, it works. And then again, when you want to review something, either with a different group, a different studios, etc. Yes, Microsoft Teams, for example, and there's other means of streaming. You could play a session with a whole other people, like everyone, a full group at their home, and we could comment, exchange, etc. So the communication are almost as efficient.
And it's amazing that the game consuming audience out there is sitting there right there with you. Like,
yeah.
We need games more than ever right now, you know. And I know people are psyched about this. You know, your team and other teams at Ubisoft have definitely been on my mind, because there's been a lot of rough news around Ubisoft the last little while. And my heart goes out to you guys, because, you know, there have been some dark stories and bad stories, but there's so many people invested in building entertainment for us at this massive company. How has that been for you guys? Have you guys been able to kind of talk that through and overcome it? Because I'm sure it's got to be painful. Are you guys doing okay?
Oh, definitely. For sure, there's some change that needed to happen, and there have definitely happening. And it's not just a change for a moment. It's something that definitely it's going to last. But like I was saying before, the team is all committed. Everyone is aligned. Everyone is working in great synergy to finish this game to be the best experience as possible.
That's awesome. Have you guys announced the release date yet? Do we know when it's coming?
We're announcing that it's going to be November 17 of this year.
Oh, it is. Okay. Fantastic. All right. Well, that's on my calendar, my friend.
Nice.
I think one of the best things that Ubi has done, actually, and you can back me up on this if you want to or not, but I felt like when we were getting an Assassin's Creed every year, they were always special, but they became a little less special when they were every year. Now that we've got a little bit of a break in between them, it allows us to get hyped again, you know, in between these games, and to get super fired up, especially when an idea for one of these titles seems to be so aligned and so perfectly, like a perfect fit for an Assassin's Creed experience. Like, we all want to be Vikings.
Yeah, definitely. Like playing with that, like being immersed into this. Yeah, we all want to be Vikings. But it let us the time to review the game structure, like how player could choose which territory you want to try to have an alliance with, etc. How you build your own settlement, bringing big new features like having the raids. It's not something that it's also simple. Your raid crew that is with you. The whole fresh take on progression. It allows us to at least review and take a fresh new take on all of these elements.
And the head chopping. Oh my goodness.
Oh, the dismemberment. Yeah. But then again, it's like we're doing everything to make sure that you're going to feel like a badass Viking. And for sure,
you sure do.
Dismemberment was part of it.
That's awesome. Are there distinct, you know, obviously the storylines are going to change a little bit between playing a male Ivor or a female Ivor, but are there other distinct characteristics in the way that they are animated, or, you know, the types of moves and stuff that they pull off between either character?
For sure, they have each of them. Sometimes have something unique. For sure, they have the pose. There's some animation. If you have you could customize your character, and for sure, there's stuff that it's unique for a female, where it's unique for a man. So for example, different type of shapes of beard, for example. But after that, like in terms of character development, for sure, this I will let the player plays it for themselves to try to discover it in the story.
I liked some of the choices too, and I'm not going to spoil those, but there were some pretty big choices that you let us play through, which was pretty damn cool. How long have you been working on Assassin's Creed games, Benoit?
Well, actually, this is actually my first Assassin's Creed game. I always wanted to be part of this team. This team is just amazing. But it's been what, 2 years and a half now, 3 years that I'm working on this one.
Fantastic. And were you at Ubi before that, or did you come to Ubi to work on Assassin's?
Oh, no. Like, I've been at Ubisoft since 1998. I did some back and forth. I did a shift at Warner Brothers on Batman Arkham Origins.
Great.
So I did some back and forth, but Ubi is my home base.
That's awesome. What is Ubisoft? What does it mean to you? What kind of a company is Ubisoft for you?
For me, it's a company that is really letting the opportunity for people to shine, to develop themselves. There's so many opportunities. They're so supportive. When there's something, they definitely react. This is something that it's really been really great. Like my experience at UB have been amazing.
Fantastic. All right, we don't have that many months to wait for the new Assassin's Creed adventure. Valhalla is coming. Benoit Richer, thank you so much for being a part of the basement today. And thank you all for watching. We'll be back with some new content for you very soon. And until then, play forever.